Než začneme, mám na vás jednu malou prosbu. Snažím se dosáhnout hranice 1000 odběratelů, což je pro mě opravdu významné číslo. Klikněte prosím na tlačítko odebírat. Odebírat. Je to jen jedno kliknutí, ale pro mě je to obrovská motivace k další tvorbě. Moc vám děkuji. Mladá zdravotní sestra koupala milionáře v kómatu, ale když se náhle probudil, stalo se něco zázračného. Zářivky v soukromé nemocnici Westbridge tlumeně hučely, když Anna Monroe procházela nedotčenými bílými chodbami. Pracovala zde jako sestra téměř 2 roky, ale dnešek byl jiný. Ve chvíli, kdy obdržela nečekané předvolání do kanceláře doktora Harrise, vedoucího neurologie, sevřel jí hruď zvláštní pocit. Udělala něco špatně? Měla být přeložena? Než zaklepala na leštěné mahagonové dveře, zhluboka se nadechla. Dále, ozvalo se. Když vstoupila dovnitř, našla doktora Harrise stát u okna s rukama sepjatýma za zády, jeho obvykle ostré oči upřené na panorama města. V jeho kanceláři to vonilo sterilní dezinfekcí a drahou kůží a atmosféra byla těžší než obvykle. Ano, řekl nakonec a otočil se k ní, jeho hlas byl uvážlivý a vážný. Máme pacienta, který vyžaduje zvláštní péči, ale tato práce není pro slabé povahy. Anna svraštila obočí. Není pro slabé povahy? O jakého pacienta jde? Zeptala se opatrně. Doktor Harris ji chvíli studoval, než ukázal na tlustou lékařskou složku na svém stole. Grant Carter, řekl. Aně se zatajil dech. Grant Carter? Ten Grant Carter? I kdyby to jméno nepoznala okamžitě, obal složky mluvil za vše. Černobílý novinový výstřižek z děsivé autonehody před rokem. Nejmladší miliardář ve městě měl ničivou nehodu. Jeho sportovní auto vyletělo uprostřed noci z mostu a od té doby byl v kómatu. Jeho jméno kdysi ovládalo titulky novin. Grant Carter, bezohledný, nedotknutelný generální ředitel Carter Enterprises, muž, který vybudoval impérium v pouhých 32 letech. Teď nebyl ničím víc než duchem uvězněným ve vlastním těle. Jeho rodina ho navštěvuje jen zřídka, pokračoval doktor Harris, a většina zdravotnického personálu prostě dělá své obchůzky z povinnosti. Ale Grant Carter potřebuje někoho oddaného, někoho, komu na něm bude skutečně záležet. Anna si kousla dortu. Slyšela v jeho hlase váhání. A vy si myslíte, že ten někdo jsem já? Doktor Harris přikývl. Myslím, že ano. Anna se pomalu nadechla. Byl to skličující úkol starat se o muže, který se možná nikdy neprobudí, o muže, jehož bohatství a moc kdysi diktovali životy 1000 lidí. Ale hluboko uvnitř znala svou odpověď ještě dřív, než promluvila. Udělám to. Rty doktora Harrise se stáhly do tenké linky, ale v jeho očích byl záblesk uznání. Dobře, vaše směna začíná dnes večer. Soukromé apartmá v nejvyšším patře nemocnice působilo děsivě tiše, když do něj Anna vstoupila. Na rozdíl od chladné sterility ostatních pokojů pro pacienty byl tento navržen pro luxus. Prostorné uspořádání, tlumené lustry, nábytek z tmavého dubu a uprostřed toho všeho ležel Grant Carter. Aně se zatajil dech, když si ho prohlížela. Navzdory hadičkám, přístrojům, které ho udržovali naživu, a nehybnosti jeho těla byl krásný. Pevná čelist, tmavé řasy na bledé kůži, široká ramena viditelná pod nemocničním pláštěm. Kdyby nebylo té neživé nehybnosti, mohl by snadno projít za muže, který prostě spí. Ale tohle nebyl obyčejný spánek. A byl to muž uvězněný v nekonečném tichu. Anna těžce polkla a přistoupila blíž, upravila mu infuzi a pak sáhla po připravené teplé žínce. Na vteřinu zaváhala, než ji jemně přitiskla k jeho kůži. Ve chvíli, kdy se ho dotkla, jí po zádech přeběhl zvláštní mráz, pocit, který nedokázala vysvětlit. Jakoby cítil, že tam je. Jakoby někde v hlubinách svého bezvědomí věděl. Ticho vyplnilo tiché pípání monitoru srdce. Pravidelné a rytmické. Anna se třásla ten zvláštní pocit a pokračovala v práci. Opatrně mu otírala paže, hrudník a dbala na to, aby jeho tělo zůstalo čisté a opečovávané. Hádám, že k tomuhle nemáš co říct, co? Zamumlala spíše pro sebe. Ticho. To beru jako ne. Na rtech se jí proti její vůli myhl lehký úsměv. Dny se změnily v rutinu. Každé ráno a večer ho Anna koupala, Měnila mu povlečení, sledovala jeho životní funkce, ale brzy to nebyla jen lékařská péče. Přistihla se, že s ním mluví, vypráví mu příběhy o svém dni, o světě za jeho oknem. Měl bys vidět jídlo v jídelně, Grante. Je to tragédie i pro miliardáře. Pochybuju, že bys to přežil. Ticho. Ani nevím, proč s tebou mluvím. Možná se mi jen líbí zvuk mého vlastního hlasu. Ticho. Nebo možná skutečně posloucháš. Monitor srdce pravidelně pípala, jako by jí odpovídal. A možná, jen možná, skutečně poslouchal. Anna si tiše broukala, když namáčela čistou žínku do teplé vody. Na sterilní klid Grantova soukromého apartmá si za ty týdny zvykla. Pravidelné pípání monitoru, slabé hučení infuze, to vše už tvořilo kulisu. Naklonila se nad postel a opatrně Grantovi otírala tvář. Její prsty byly jemné, ale přesné. Víš, řekla lehkým hlasem, někde jsem četla, že lidé v kómatu stále slyší. No takže technicky vzato jsi ten nejhorší posluchač, jakého jsem kdy potkala. Žádná odpověď. Povzdechla si a zavrtěla hlavou. To je v pořádku. Už jsem si zvykla mluvit sama se sebou. Právě mu chtěla očistit linii čelisti, když v tom zaznamenala mírný pohyb. Zatajil se jí dech. Zdálo se jí to? Stuhla a zírala na jeho ruku. Nic. Prsty ležely nehybně na čistém bílém prostěradle. Anna se tiše zasmála a zavrtěla hlavou. Skvělé, teď už mám halucinace. Možná jsem to já, kdo potřebuje nemocniční lůžko. Ale neklid přetrvával a během několika příštích dnů se to stalo znovu. Podruhé mu upravovala polštář. Nedívala se, když v tom pocítila nejslabší tlak na svém zápěstí. Prudce sklopila zrak. Grantova ruka se posunula jen o zlomek palce, ale stačilo to k tomu, aby se jí sevřel žaludek. Grante, zašeptala, aniž by si uvědomila, že vyslovila jeho jméno. Ticho. Stejné rytmické pípání monitoru. Položila ruku na jeho. Cítila jeho teplo, jeho nehybnost, jeho potenciální pohyb. Nic. Představovala si věci, nebo se něco měnilo? Anna se toho pocitu nemohla zbavit a tak to nahlásila doktoru Harrisovi. On se pohnul? Doktor zdvihl skeptické obočí. Myslím, že ano, přiznala Anna. Nejdřív jsem si myslela, že se mi to zdálo, ale pořád se to opakuje. Prsty se mu cukají, ruka se mírně posouvá. Je to drobné, ale je to tam. Doktor Harris se opřel v křesle, hluboce zamyšlen. Uděláme testy, řekl nakonec. Ale nedělej si příliš velké naděje, Ano. Mohly by to být jen reflexivní svalové křeče. Anna přikývla, ale hluboko uvnitř tomu nevěřila. Cítila, že se něco děje. A když přišly výsledky testů, nebyla překvapená. Je tu zvýšená mozková aktivita, řekl jí doktor Harris. Jeho neurologické reakce jsou silnější než dříve. Srdce jí poskočilo. Takže se probouzí? Doktor Harris zaváhal. Nemusí to tak být. Může to znamenat cokoliv, ale je to dobré znamení. Nebyla to odpověď, kterou chtěla, ale stačilo to. Tu noc, když seděla u jeho postele, se Anna přistihla, že s Grantem mluví víc než obvykle. Nevím, jestli mě slyšíš, ale něco mi říká, že ano, zamumlala. Pohlédla na jeho tvář, na jeho výrazné rysy, stále nehybné. Ale poprvé měla pocit, že v místnosti není sama. A tak mluvila. Vyprávěla mu o svém dni, o pacientech, kteří ji frustrovali, o hrubém doktorovi ze 3. patra, který jí vždycky kradl kávu. Vyprávěla mu o svém dětství, o malém městě, ve kterém vyrostla, o tom, jak vždycky snila o tom, že bude sestrou. A jak mluvila, neuvědomovala si, že hluboko v tichu svého kómatu Grant poslouchal. Ranní slunce pronikalo velkými okny nemocničního pokoje a vrhalo teplou záři na Grantovu nehybnou postavu. Pípání monitoru vyplňovalo ticho, pravidelné a rytmické, přesně jako tomu bylo po celý uplynulý rok. Anna stála u postele a vyhrnula si rukávy. Byl to jen další den, další rutinní koupel, další kolo rozhovorů s někým, kdo jí možná nikdy neodpoví. Namočila teplou žínku do misky, vyždímala ji a začala Grantovi jemně otírat hrudník, její pohyby byly přesné a opatrné. Víš, Grante, zamumlala s lehkým úsměvem, přemýšlela jsem o tom, že si pořídím psa. Potřebuju někoho, kdo by mě poslouchal a nebude tam jen tak ležet a ignorovat mě celý den. Ticho. Povzdechla si. Dobře, to bylo hrubé. Jen jsem se snažila navázat konverzaci. Sáhla po jeho paži, přejížděla žínkou po jeho kůži a prsty se otřela o jeho zápěstí. A pak se jeho prsty sevřely kolem jejího zápěstí. Anna stuhla, prudký nádech se jí zasekl v hrdle, jak zírala na jeho ruku. Tlak nebyl velký, jemný, slabý, váhavý, ale byl tam. Můj bože, srdce jí divoce bušilo, tep jí zvonil v uších. Chtěla věřit, že je to jen další reflex, jen další bezvýznamné cuknutí, ale nebylo. Protože pak Grantovi oči prudce otevřely. Anna se na okamžik nemohla pohnout, nemohla dýchat, nemohla myslet. Celé měsíce zírala na ta zavřená víčka a čekala na jakýkoliv náznak pohybu, jakékoliv mihnutí života. A teď se na ní dívaly ty hluboké oceánově modré oči. Byly zmatené, nezaostřené, zranitelné, ale živé. Grantovi rty se pootevřely, jeho hlas byl chraplavý, sotva šepot, ale byl skutečný. Ano. Anino celé tělo se napjalo, kolena se jí málem podlomila, dech se jí zadrhl mezi nevěrou a čistou panikou. Promluvil. Probudil se. Nemožné se právě stalo. Sotva si uvědomila, jak jí miska s vodou vyklouzla z rukou a rozstříkla se na nedotčenou bílou podlahu, když ucouvla. Můj bože. Její instinkty se ozvaly, otočila se a udeřila rukou do nouzového tlačítka na zdi. Chodbou se rozezněl hlasitý alarm. O několik sekund později se dveře rozletěly a dovnitř vtrhl tým lékařů a sester vedený doktorem Harrisem. Co se stalo? Dožadoval se doktor Harris, když se přesunul k posteli a už kontroloval Grantovi životní funkce. Annin hlas se třásl. On mě chytil za ruku. Otevřel oči. Podívala se zpět na Granta, stále neschopná uvěřit tomu, co vidí. His chest rose and fell shakily, his eyes darting around the room as if trying to piece together where he was, what was happening. He wasn't fully aware. Not yet, but he was here. Dr. Harris's expression turned from shock to action. Get me a neurological team now. Nurses scrambled voices overlapping in disbelief as they hurried to perform tests. The room was a whirlwind of motion, but Anna couldn't take her eyes off Grant. Then, as if feeling her gaze, his eyes found hers again, and this time he didn't look away. Everything was happening so fast. The doctors were asking him questions, shining lights into his pupils, testing his motor functions. But through it all, Grant's gaze kept drifting back to Anna. She stepped forward, hesitantly, swallowing hard. "Grant," she whispered, "do you remember anything?" He stared at her, blinking slowly. A long silence stretched. Between them then, his fingers twitched again, and before she could react, he reached for her hand. Weakly, slowly, but deliberately. His hand closed around hers. His grip fragile yet firm, as if he had always known her. Anna's breath hitched. Dr. Harris looked up sharply. "Grant, do you know who she is?" Grant didn't answer immediately, his brows furrowed, his gaze never leaving Anna. "I don't know," he murmured, voice rough from months of disuse. "But I feel like I should." A chill ran down Anna's spine, because even though Grant Carter didn't remember her, something deep inside him did. The days after Grant's miraculous awakening were filled with tests, therapy, and endless questions. Doctors were amazed by his recovery. Physically he was weak, but improving his muscles. Stiff from a year of immobility, were regaining strength through rehabilitation, but mentally that was another story. Grant couldn't remember anything about the accident, and the more they pressed him for details, the more frustrated he became. "Grant, let us try again," Dr. Harris said, during one of their sessions. "What's the last thing you remember?" Grant rubbed his temples, his expression tense. I don't know anything where you were. What you were doing." Grant exhaled sharply. "I told you, it's just pieces. Flashes. Tell me about them." A long silence. Then Grant closed his eyes, his brows furrowing. "I remember a feeling." His voice was slow, uncertain, like something was wrong, like I was in danger. Anna, who had been listening quietly from the side, stiffened. Grant continued, his fingers clenching. There was a road, headlights, and then nothing. Just black. Dr. Harris sighed. "It's common for trauma victims to block out painful memories. It may come back on its own, but for now we focus on recovery." Grant nodded, But Anna could see the frustration in his clenched jaw, and deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right that night, unable to stop thinking about it. Anna went to the hospital archives. She had read Grant's file before, but this time she went through every detail with fresh eyes, and that's when she saw it something she had missed before the report from the accident reconstruction team stated that Grant's brakes had failed, not worn out, not malfunctioned, tampered. A chill ran down her spine. This wasn't just an unfortunate crash. Someone had wanted Grant dead, and he had no idea. Taking a shaky breath, she closed the file. She needed to tell him, because if someone had tried to kill him once, they might try again. Grant's recovery was happening at a remarkable speed in just a few weeks. He had gone from being bedridden to sitting up, eating on his own, and speaking in full sentences now. With the help of physical therapy, he was learning to walk again, and through it all, Anna was there, every step, every struggle, every frustrating moment. Where he wanted to give up, she pulled him back. "I can't do this," Grant muttered, gripping the parallel bars tightly as he attempted to lift himself. "Yes, you can," Anna said firmly, standing beside him. "You've already come this far. Grant, don't stop now." He turned to look at her, his breathing heavy. She wasn't just saying words to motivate him. She truly believed in him, and that made him believe in himself. With a determined exhale, he took another step forward. Anna's face lit up. That's it for the first time. Time since waking up. Grant smiled. Not out of politeness, not out of obligation, but because for the first time he felt alive again, and he knew exactly who to thank for that. Anna wasn't like the others. She didn't treat him like a charity case. She didn't see him as a billionaire, trapped in a hospital bed. She saw him just Grant, and that was why he found himself gravitating toward her. Whenever she was in the room, the world felt lighter. Whenever she spoke, her voice pulled him from the darkness that sat still lingered in his mind. And whenever she touched him, a hand on his arm, steadying him as he walked, adjusting his pillow, his skin tingled with something he couldn't explain. One night after a particularly long therapy session, Anna suggested taking a walk in the hospital's garden. Fresh air might do you some good, she said, smiling. Grant agreed, but what he didn't expect was how different everything would feel outside those hospital walls. The cool night air, the arling trees, the moon casting a soft glow over the world. For the first time, he felt like a person again. Not a patient, not a mystery with missing memories. Just himself, and beside him Anna. They walked slowly, Anna holding onto his arm for support. At first, Grant thought it was just part of her job, but then he saw the way her fingers lingered on his wrist, the way she glanced at him when she thought he wasn't looking, the way her breath hitched slightly whenever he stepped too close, and suddenly he knew she felt it too. That pull, that unspoken connection between them. They stopped near a small stone bench, the moonlight casting shadows across the garden. Grant turned to face her, his heartbeat unsteady for a different reason. This time, Anna opened her mouth to say something, but before she could, Grant took her hand, her lips parted in surprise, her eyes searching his. "I don't remember anything about my life before this," he admitted, his voice ill, "but I know one thing for sure." Anna swallowed what he tightened his grip around her fingers. "I trust you." The words were simple, but to him, they meant everything. And judging by the way Anna's breath caught in her throat, the way her cheeks flushed under the moonlight, the way she didn't pull away, she understood. And for now, that was enough. The night was restless. Grant tossed and turned in his hospital bed, his body still weak, but his mind racing. And then a flash, a sudden burst of memory, crashed through his subconscious, like a breaking dam. The road was dark. The rain poured against the windshield, his wipers struggling to keep up. Grant gripped the steering wheel tightly, his mind still clouded from the meeting he had just left. Something felt off then. Out of nowhere, headlights bright rushing toward him. A black S swerved into his lane at full speed. Grant yanked the wheel, his tires skidding on the slick pavement. The brakes, they didn't work. His heart pounded as he desperately tried to regain control. And just before impact, his eyes darted to the side of the road. A shadowy figure stood there watching, and then blackness. Grant's eyes snapped open, his breath coming in short, uneven gasps, his pulse raced, sweat clinging to his skin. The memory had been so vivid, so real, and now he knew the truth. This wasn't an accident. Someone had tried to kill him. Anna noticed something was wrong. The second she walked into his room the next morning, he was different. His usual smirk was gone. His body was tense. His hands were clenched into fists. "Grant," she asked carefully, "what's wrong?" His piercing blue eyes locked onto hers, filled with a new intensity. I remember something. Anna's stomach dropped. The accident. He gave a stiff nod. "It wasn't an accident, Anna. Someone tampered with my brakes, and there was a man standing on the side of the road just watching as my car crashed." Anna felt chills run down her spine. Everything she had suspected, he had just confirmed it. But the question remained, who and why? Why Anna and Grant spent the next few days digging deeper, going through Grant's files, company records, and anything that could hint at someone wanting him gone. Then finally they found it. A financial transfer. A large sum of money wired just days before the accident. The recipient, a known criminal with a history of orchestrating staged crashes, and the sender Nathan Carter, Grant's half-brother. The realization hit like a ton of bricks. It was him, Grant whispered, gripping the edge of the table. Nathan had always been jealous, always felt like Grant was the favorite, the one who inherited their father's legacy, while he was left in the shadows, and now he had tried to erase Grant completely. Anna felt her heart clench. "Grant, he wanted you dead." Grant's jaw tightened. "And now I'm going to make sure he pays that evening." Grant and Anna arranged to meet Nathan face to face, in a dimly lit study inside the Carter estate. Nathan lounged in a leather chair, swirling a glass of whiskey, as Grant and Anna entered. "Well, well," Nathan smirked. "The dead man walks." Grant's eyes burned with fury. "Why did you do it?" Nathan took a slow sip of his drink. "You already know why." Anna stepped forward. "You tried to kill your own brother for what money, power?" Nathan's smirk faded for everything that should have been. "Mine," he spat. "You were always the golden child. The heir. The one who got everything handed to him. Well, guess what? I was tired of waiting for my turn." Grant's hands curled into fists. "So you hired someone to sabotage my car." Nathan laughed coldly. "I didn't think you'd survive. But hey, miracles happen, right?" Anna felt rage boiling inside her. But before she could say anything, the door burst open and two uniformed officers stepped inside. Nathan's face paled. "Nathan." "Carter," one officer announced. "You're under arrest for attempted murder." Nathan whipped around to Grant, his expression twisting into panic. "You set me up?" Grant tilted his head. "No, brother, you set yourself up." Nathan was dragged away in handcuffs, screaming empty threats, and as the door slammed shut behind him, a heavy silence filled the room. Grant finally exhaled his shoulders, relaxing for the first time since waking up. It was over. Justice had been served and he was finally free. The Carter estate had always been grand, imposing and cold, a fortress of wealth built on generations of power. But tonight, as Anna stepped inside the dimly lit dining hall, it felt different, warmer, more intimate. Soft candlelight flickered across the elegantly set table near the large glass windows overlooking the city sky. Skyline, the scent of fresh roses filled the air, and a bottle of wine sat chilling beside two perfectly placed plates. Anna's breath caught Grant. "What is all this?" she asked, turning to face him. Grant stood behind her, his hands tucked into his pockets, his blue eyes soft yet intense. "Dinner?" he said simply, "just you and me." Anna's chest tightened. For the past few weeks, their lives had been a whirlwind, from his recovery to unraveling the truth about his accident to seeing his brother arrested, but now with the storm finally behind them, there was only this moment, and somehow that felt even scarier. As they sat down, Anna couldn't ignore the way Grant watched her, like he was memorizing every detail, like she was something fragile yet precious. "You're quiet," she said, giving him a small teasing smile. "That's not like you." He exhaled, swirling his wine glass between his fingers. "I've been thinking that's even more dangerous," she joked. He didn't laugh. Instead, he leaned forward, his gaze burning into hers. "Anna, do you know how many people walked away from me while I was in that coma?" Her smile faded too. She knew she had seen it firsthand. The way his family had treated him like a burden. The way his so-called friends had moved on. The only reason he had survived that darkness was because someone stayed, because she stayed, but you didn't. Grant murmured, "You were there day after day. You took care of me, when I couldn't even open my eyes, when I was nothing but a lost cause to everyone else. You refused to give up on me." Anna's throat tightened. She had never thought about it that way. She had just done what she felt was right. But to Grant, it had meant everything. Grant leaned closer, his fingers brushing against hers on the table. "Anna, I have everything." His voice was soft but firm. "Money, power, influence. But none of it means anything without you." And as breath hitched, "Grant, let me finish." He whispered, his hand finally closed around hers, his thumb tracing slow, delicate circles against her skin. "I don't know how it happened. I don't know when it started, but what I do know is that every moment I was trapped in that coma, you were the one keeping me. Alive, you were my light in the dark." "Anna," her eyes burned with tears. "I love you." The words crashed into her, stealing the breath from her lungs. Not because she hadn't felt it too, but because hearing it from him made it undeniably real. Grant Carter, the man who had once lived in a world of cold calculations, business deals and power plays, was now sitting across from her bearing his soul. And for the first time in her life, Anna felt something she had never felt before, truly, completely, irrevocably cherished. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she smiled through them. "Grant," she whispered, "you have no idea how much that means to me." He reached up gently, wiping it, tear from her face. "Then let me show you." And as he leaned in, pressing his forehead against hers, Anna knew this was only the beginning. Months had passed since that fateful night when Grant confessed his love for Anna, and in that time, everything had changed. Grant had fully recovered, regaining his strength through endless hours of rehabilitation and training. His body was no longer weak, no longer held back by the accident that nearly took his life. And now he was Grant Carter once more, back at the helm of Carter Enterprises, standing in the boardroom with the confidence of a man who had been to hell and back and survived. But there was one crucial difference between the man he was before the accident and the man standing here now. This time, he wasn't alone. This time, he had Anna. And soon, if she said yes, she would be his forever. The rooftop of the Carter estate was bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, casting warm golden hues across the city skyline. Anna stood at the edge, gazing at the breathtaking view, completely unaware of what was about to happen. "It's beautiful up here," she murmured, the breeze gently playing with her hair. Grant, standing behind her, smiled. "Not as beautiful as you." She turned to him, rolling her eyes, playfully smooth. "Carter, very smooth." But her teasing expression faded when she saw the way he was looking at her. There was something different in his eyes tonight. Something deeper, more certain, more infinite. Before she could ask, he took a deep breath, then slowly he dropped to one knee. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Her hands flew to her mouth as Grant pulled out a small velvet box, flipping it open to reveal the most stunning engagement ring she had ever seen. An elegant diamond set in a delicate platinum band. But it wasn't the ring that took her breath away. It was him. It was the way his voice trembled slightly as he whispered, "Anna, you didn't. Just saved my life. You became my life." Her heart pounded before you. "I had everything. Money, power, success. But I was missing something. I was missing you." Tears welled in her eyes. "You're the reason I fought to live. The reason I found myself again. And now I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you know just how much you mean to me." He held the ring up, his eyes never leaving hers. "Anna Monroe, will you marry me?" The world stood still. Anna couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. All she could do was nod frantically, laughter and tears spilling over at the same time. "Yes," she finally managed, her voice breaking. "Yes, Grant, 1,000 times. Yes." Grant let out a breath of relief, sliding the ring onto her finger before pulling her into his arms, into his world, into forever. And as their lips met, under the fading sunlight, Anna knew this was where she belonged. Always the Carter estate had never looked more radiant than on their wedding day. The gardens were transformed into an enchanting wonderland. White roses lined the pathways, twinkling lights draped the towering oak trees, and soft music played in the background as guests gathered in awe. Anna stood at the grand entrance, dressed in an elegant white gown, her heart racing. "Are you ready, Lisa?" her maid of honor whispered beside her. Anna took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around her bouquet. Then she looked up, and there he was. Grant stood at the altar, dressed in a classic black tuxedo, looking at her as if she was the only person in the universe. Her nerves vanished. P. She stepped forward, walking down the aisle with absolute certainty. Each step brought her closer to forever, and when she finally reached him, Grant took her hands in his eyes. Shining with pure, unfiltered love, the vows were spoken, their promises sealed not just in words, but in the unbreakable bond they had built through every hardship, every battle, every moment of unwavering devotion. Now pronounce you husband and wife. A cheer erupted as Grant cued her face, pressing the most heartfelt, most meaningful kiss against her lips. And as the world rejoiced, Anna realized this wasn't the end of their story. This was only the beginning. As the sun began to set, Grant and Anna slipped away from the crowd, walking hand in hand through the gardens, basking in their new reality. No more hospitals, no more loneliness, no more pain. Just them together. Always Grant squeezed her hand gently. You know, he murmured, I thought I had everything before I met you. Anna smiled, resting her head against his shoulder, and now he looked down at her, his expression soft, devoted, endless. Now I know that nothing I had before matters, because you are the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Anna blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the depth of his words, and as they stepped forward toward the golden glow of the setting sun, she knew they had been through storms, darkness, near-death experiences. But in the end, love had won, and with Grant by her side, Anna was finally home. As Grant and Anna walked hand in hand into their happily ever after, their story became a testament to something truly powerful. Love is not just about finding someone, but about standing by them. Through every storm, Anna never gave up on Grant, even when the world had. And in the end, it was love, not money or power, that truly saved him. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share for more emotional. Děkuji vám, že jste sledovali toto video až do konce. Opravdu si vážím každé chvíle, kterou jste tu se mnou strávili. Aktuálně jsme na cestě k dosažení našeho prvního milníku 1000 odběratelů. Pokud se příběhy, které vyprávím, dotkly vašeho srdce byť jen malinko, podpořte mě prosím stisknutím tlačítka odebírat. Každý nový odběr je pro mě obrovskou motivací psát dál a přinášet vám ještě více smysluplných příběhů. Nashledanou a těším se na vás u dalšího videa.